So it's Ted Muhlner, who's Vice President at Redpoint Resolutions Tech. Where you go.
Unless you're in this business, you don't probably necessarily know that you're not supposed to take a sat phone into India. It's a pretty important piece of information if you're a climber, if you're an adventure seeker. This was just a couple days before Christmas. He was actually in India for a wedding of a work colleague. And as he was leaving, going through security, unbeknownst to him, he happened to have his satellite tracking device, a Garmin device, in his bag. And security folks stopped him and said, "Hey, what's this?" And he said, "Oh, it's mine, no big deal, haven't used it." And they said, "Yeah, why don't you come on to the back?" He at this point was starting to realize that this is pretty serious. Maybe I'm not supposed to have this. He, by the way, the only reason he had it in his bag was he's a climber, a trekker, and he was in Montana 2 months previously, and every time he travels, he takes the same bag, and all of his same stuff just stays in the same bag. So he had no idea he's been carrying this thing around for a week at this wedding. Never used it, never turned it on. Last time it was on was in October. So he's trying to convince these security people in this Indian airport that this is all the case, and they obviously don't want to hear anything about it. Meanwhile, he's got a flight, he's planning to leave. They take him out of the airport to the police station, and he's interrogated. He's in prison. Remember, this guy was in India at a wedding, and he was going home to spend time with his family, his couple kids, for Christmas. And now he's in prison. It's on the 23rd of December. He spends the night in prison. The next day, they send him to the hospital because you probably think he's getting a bit psychiatric. They drug him, sleeps on the floor that night. Just crazy things that go on. We were able to engage a network of former police and military officers who, lucky for this individual, had relationships with the very specific police department where this person was being held, and influence these people in such a way that they would be motivated to move this along. Now, there weren't any payments made by our people to them. There were no consulting fees, there were no bribes. This was just a standard marketing campaign. Through our resources, we were able to influence the local police force, the magistrate, in such a way that they recognized very clearly that this was a pretty ridiculous charge. This guy had never turned this satellite device on, and moved his charges from a couple of months up to about 2 days. Ground resources and making sure that, from an assisted provider standpoint or a medical and security evacuation provider standpoint, which is what Redpoint is, that we're evaluating the risk of our clients globally, and that we are making sure that we have those local assets wherever we may need them, so that when those problems that are super unique, like the one that we just talked about, comes up, we have those resources. Even if you don't have to use a vehicle or use an executive protection team or use a hospital or use an airplane of sorts, you have the ability to inject some influence into these cultures to make things move a little bit faster.